in preparation. We're talking about Marble Springs. They're inviting you out to celebrate their annual John Sevier Living History Day. We have Cherry Johnson with us now, who is trying to dry out. You all have had a busy day preparing for this. But it is a major undertaking, brings in hundreds of people each year, and really is a chance to celebrate history in a very demonstrative way.
That's right. John Sevier, of course, most Tennesseans know, was the first governor, and he was born in September, he passed in September, so it's really a fitting time for us to celebrate him and the times that he lived in. So it's really an opportunity to learn a lot, and folks from all over East Tennessee have come out and supported our efforts there year after year to teach about John Sevier and pioneer ways through the crafts and different things, skills that they have.
We're looking at some of the video, of course. This is on site with John Sevier at Marble Springs. Talk more about the crafts and the activities that are planned.
We have some things that are ongoing all day long. For instance, basket weaving, cooking demonstrations, militia drills, weaving and spinning, so and blacksmithing, a variety of activities going on throughout the day, which is 10 to 5. But we also have some special events that are time specific. We have Vicki Smith, who is a Cherokee historian, who is going to be coming out and presenting, along with her grandsons, Kyle Coatney, and Jack Crawford, and they tell Cherokee legends, and I believe Kyle is very skilled in, with musical instruments. We have Patera Marlowe. He's going to be talking to us about homesteading, how we can take skills from the past and apply them to modern homesteading. And yeah, homesteading is really growing. There's a big interest in that.
So there's something certainly that will interest your entire family. The website, if you'd like to learn more, is there a charge to participate?
It's $5 for adults and $4 for children under 18 and seniors.
All right, this Saturday going to be a great event at Marble Springs, celebrating the life of John Sevier. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Hope it goes well, and hopefully it's dry for you all.
I appreciate that.
All right.